Welcome, ladies, to this marketing and sales module, which is split up into 4 different sessions. My name's Ian Reeder, and I want to share with you my knowledge when it comes to sales and marketing. Now, marketing is a really important subject. I'll tell you why, because about 80% of a business plan is actually a marketing plan. So kick your shoes off, relax, and enjoy the process as I lead you through this subject called sales and marketing. So actually in this module, we're going to be talking about 4 different sessions. And in this particular session 104, we're going to look at the new basics of marketing. And in this session 104, I've broken it into 6 lessons. And just in brief, I'm going to be talking about the marketing department must lead the entire organization. Then we got to look at the marketing planning process. I'll show you the different steps that we need to take when it comes to writing a marketing plan, for example. And then also, if you really want to simplify marketing, we can break it into 3 things, which is what are your objectives, what are your issues that will stop you achieving your objective, and what is your plan to make the issues go away so that you can achieve your objectives. And then we'll simplify marketing even further. We'll look at your business model canvas, which you probably all know about already, but you can kind of reduce marketing to 1 slide. And then we'll discuss the 4 basic P's of marketing. Then we'll discuss the 3 P's of service marketing. And then the 8th P, which is partnerships, we'll also take a look at that. And then to really simplify, how do we explain sales and marketing? We'll go through the Adcast model. Marketing does the A, the I, and the D, awareness, interest, and desire. And then the sales department does the convincing, asks for the business, and does the after-sales service. We'll look at all of those things a bit later. First, a definition of marketing. And marketing should be a deliberate thing. It should be a deliberate process. It shouldn't be something that we do by accident. And through this deliberate blend of the 8 P's of marketing, which is often called the marketing mix or the value proposition, the 8 P's is your marketing mix or the value proposition. We mix these things up, and by doing so, we can then reach certain market segments with these 8 P's, with your mix. And so the customer can get and feel a fair exchange of value taking place. That's what marketing is. So for example, I bring you a product at a certain price. You give me money for that, and you feel like there's a fair exchange of value that has taken place. If you feel that there is no fair exchange of value, then you're going to feel ripped off. So marketing is about a fair exchange of value. I don't want to get into vision statements and written goals, but you need to have a vision. For example, if you had a farm, you need to have a vision of that farm and then communicate that vision to, first of all, your staff. That's internal marketing. And then you need to communicate that vision to your customers. That's called external marketing. So marketing is internal and external. So this slide helps you understand what a marketing plan is all about. And the first stage of a marketing plan is to just write a quick summary of the whole marketing plan. And of course, you can only do that summary once the marketing plan has been written. And that would be a 1-page marketing plan, it's executive summary. But let's go into these C's. You can notice all these C's over here. So one of the first C's is your company. We got to talk about your company in a marketing plan. We got to talk about your channel in a marketing plan. Who sells and distributes your products? That's your channel. All right, and we got to talk about your customers in a marketing plan, and we also got to talk about your competitors in marketing plan. You can see those are C's that all start, and we call that your 4 C's of marketing already. We also need to know what will stop you achieving your objectives. So here we got your objectives, that's part of the company, and what will stop you achieving your objectives, that's crucial in any marketing plan, and we get those from your 4 C's. So What are the issues with regards to your company? What are the issues with regards to your who sells and distributes your products? What are the issues with regards to customers, and what are the issues with regards to competitors? That will give you your 4C issues. Then we can move on in marketing plan, and we can come up with now marketing objectives, not overall company objectives. These are company objectives. How big do you want to make the company and grow the company? These are specific marketing objectives. And then we get a little bit more detailed. We go into the 8 Ps. Exactly what are your 8 Ps? What is your marketing mix? What is your product? What is your price? What is your placement? What is your promotion? What are your people going to do? What are your processes, partnerships, etc.? Sales forecast is generally an Excel spreadsheet. A budget is an Excel spreadsheet. And then how are you going to do this stuff? Part of any business plan or marketing plan is who does what? How are you going to implement this? So a big question is, what is strategy? Well, strategy is 3 things. It's what are your objectives, what will stop you, in other words, what are your issues, and then what is your plan to make the issues go away, because if the issues went away, you would achieve your objectives. Okay. So that's basically what marketing strategy is if we had to simplify it. Now, how do we find these issues? Well, we do a 4C analysis, and that will tell us what our issues are. And we also do a macro pestle analysis, and that will also tell us what our issues are. Okay. And your plan is to make the issues go away so you can achieve your objectives. Quite elegant, hey? So I'll make all these templates available to you. For example, this is the best objective slide I've ever seen. And of course, I created it. And it's the first thing we got to do is state in words, what are we trying to do? So I'm going to research this year. I'm going to research Nike's customers. And then in 2023, I'm going to do a flanker attack on Nike. And then in 2024, I'm going to really hurt Nike. We got to state in words, what are you trying to do? We're going to build market share by dropping price in words. We're going to grow 20% while aggressively delivering 100% on-time delivery in full. Okay. To the 3 segments of our choice. We're going to have the highest net promoter score in South Africa. NPS is a customer satisfaction score. In 2024, I want to grow at 50%. How am I going to do that? I'm going to attack Nike's strengths. All right. And it's really important that we must understand that in words, we must describe to ourselves what are we trying to do, and then we can talk about numbers later. For product line number 1, that could be peaches, this could be pears, this could be carrots, or whatever it is. Okay. Just so you all understand the business model canvas, this canvas, we start off with a blank canvas. That's why it's called a blank or a business model canvas. And this is, how do you put your whole business model onto one slide? And most of this business model is actually marketing. So here, all those previous objective slides I showed you, you can put on what are your revenue streams going to be. Very important, this section over here on the business model canvas is your segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3, which we'll talk about a lot later. And in line with that, you'd have to have a value proposition per segment, and a value proposition for a different customer segment. And you'd have to have a different value proposition for your tertiary segment. So this is your most important segment, second most important segment, and then once you've reached those 2 segments, you could call the third segment that you want to reach the tertiary segment. But what is important is this square here is the biggest or the most important because it's in the middle of your canvas. And without a value proposition, or what we call a unique selling proposition, USP, or without differentiation, or without a point of difference, or without a competitive advantage, you don't actually have a business. So another word for this VP, value proposition, are all these other terms like distinctiveness, USP, differentiation, point of difference. It all means the same thing. Okay, and you'll need a different value proposition for different segments, and that's why we have VP to VP3, VP1. They're all different value propositions for different segments. Good. How will you do after sales service? Who distributes you, or who takes you by truck or whatever to the customer? Obviously, if you're selling online, your channel would be online. And then what are your key activities that you're going to be doing to get your product quality up, or whatever it is? Your key resources: how many people, how much money, and how much equipment do you need? And who are your key partners to help you with your marketing plan, i.e. your advertising agency? Okay. And what are your big cost structures? What are the big cost items? Like, is it going to be fertilizer number one, or salaries number one, followed by what and what and what? So this canvas shows you a snapshot, a helicopter view of your entire business. It's a great way to explain your business to yourself, and therefore you can explain it to somebody else who wants to understand your business. So how's marketing changed over the last 50 years? Well, the marketing department now must lead the entire organization. Marketing is really, really, really important. Okay, the other thing, what has changed is there's so much data out there, and what we need to do is try and find data on the internet, or buy the data and try and analyze what's going on with our market segment or our customers. And that's called insights from big data. What else has changed? Well, in the old days, you had to just be functional. In other words, if you brought out coffee, it had to taste great, and it had to have caffeine in it. Today, what's the basics of marketing has changed to: your coffee needs to be emotional, not just functional. Okay, your positioning of your brand needs to not just be functional, i.e. buy my coffee, but buy it because there's a vibe, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that vibe just now. And then, of course, what are you doing for society is the third thing that we got to try and do in marketing. In other words, how much money would you pay for that coffee? You see, that coffee is only functional, but you'd pay a lot more for that coffee if you had a payoff line. It's all about the vibe, and if you built a brand. And then, of course, what are you doing for society? You could say our coffee is all imported from Uganda. It's fair trade coffee. Now, this makes the customer feel even more warm and fuzzy. Part of the vibe is, what are you doing for society? So marketing's become quite competitive, and all things equal, I might buy your coffee because of your fair trade. I might buy your coffee, all things equal, because I like the vibe, the vibe inside a store, or your packaging. For example, unbranded coffee, you might pay 5 cents for a cup of coffee. This is a fact. However, if you do fairly good branding, it pushes up a price of the coffee to 75 US cents. Dunkin' Donuts can charge $2 for a cup of coffee. And then if you go to Starbucks, you can charge up to $7 for a cup of coffee, because they've done their branding even better than Dunkin' Donuts. And this is really, really important. And that's why we're here today, to talk about branding and marketing. Good. The fourth thing that has changed in marketing is people are expecting you to personalize the offering to them. In other words, they want a particular type of product. And the other thing that has changed is the total experience has become very, very prolific. In other words, there's more touch points. So not only do customers want you to personalize your crop for them, they want a particular brand or particular label on their commodity that you're packaging for them. But there's also now more touch points, i.e. your website and social media. There's much more touch points. So that's how the new basics of marketing have changed over the last 50 years. Good. These are some brands, and you can see most brands have also got a payoff line, and you really got to think about your payoff line. Tesco, every little helps. What does that mean? Gatorade, it's about quenching your thirst. Max Factor is the makeup of makeup artists, which means only professionals use it. Audi is Vorsprung der Technik. It's very German, and you probably don't know what that means. And that's exactly what they want you to be, is like, wow, this must be Germans. And if you think that, then you know German cars are quality. So we got to think about branding. And we got to think about PODs. That is what we call points of difference. So why should I buy you? What is your point of difference? Is it because you're fresher than somebody else? Is it because you're local? Is it because you are doing free trade? Is it because your delivery is always on time? Is it because you're local and local's lacquer? Is it pesticide free? Is it direct from the farm to the table and you skip out the middleman? You've got to start thinking about this, because a brand is really important to sales. Of course, we want to do sales, but we got to actually understand that the brand improves our sales. And if you don't have a clear brand, then your sales will suffer. Okay, so you're not going to be able to get good prices if people don't know what your PODs are, points of difference. Okay. So perception is reality. So this brand, if it looks fresh, people will think that the product is fresh. Okay. So we need to have what we call these PODs, and we need to be very, very clear with why should somebody want to buy our product. And you can have POD 1, 2, and 3, and probably more than that is too much. PODs, points of difference, or what we call unique selling propositions. Okay. So perception is reality. And if you're looking for some ideas of some of the latest research shows that if you're coming up with a logo, it should be kind of symmetrical. In other words, if you split it into the left and the right are similar weights, if you want to call it that. APSA's old logo was not symmetrical, and now it is symmetrical. And again, this is what we call symbolism. Your color is very important. This tells you a lot more than writing Paris and France does, because symbols communicate very, very quickly than reading a word. Okay. So my question to you, what percentage of marketing is advertising, do you think? And we can discuss that later. What percentage of your marketing is actually advertising? And let's say you spend 100,000 Rand a year on marketing. What percentage of that is advertising? I want you to think about that. Another thing I want you to think about is what we call customer experience management. This is a very, very big marketing topic today. The smell of your product, the taste of your product, what it looks like, probably not hearing won't, but touch will be a big thing. And then overall, the customer will get actually a sixth sense about you, whether to use you or not. And this is what we call the customer experience management. All the five senses put together, and then customers get a sixth sense. Like, a horrible smell, good taste, that's a problem. Good taste, good smell, but the brand doesn't look like you want to buy it. So coming up with these brands is really, really important. We can see how the Mark I Golf looked, and how it's progressed to only having one exhaust pipe, uncolor-coded bumpers, uncolor-coded mirrors, and only two little lights, and now it's got all sorts of different lights. 4 exhaust pipes. See there? That's all perception. That's part of the points of difference. 4 exhaust pipes, and yet those 4 exhaust pipes are totally unnecessary. You only need 1 exhaust pipe. 3 of those exhaust pipes is actually for the driver. But we got to start thinking about creating brands, and the shape of the brand, the color of the brand, which is really, really important. This is a product that a client asked me to look at. Silver Lab asked me to look at this product, and in the last 12 months, this product has grown by 90% per annum. And how can we do that every year? Well, every year what you got to do is you got to interview customers and find out what do they want. And customers said, you know, if you put a CSR tested stamp of approval on the side, we'll buy it. And if you really are number one in South Africa, put a stamp on and saying, this is SA's number one colloidal silver. Another big thing is that sign daily is really, really, really important to drive volume. So, you know, if you're eating oranges daily, you're going to sell a lot more oranges if people think you should only have one orange a week. So CSR tested. The other thing is the box. This is a horrible green. It doesn't shine. It's got a foil box. The word daily is really, really important. And of course, the rest is history. So just by changing the box, you can do absolute wonders. In this case, we grew this nasal spray by 90% March last year to March this year. Good. Likewise, we got to start thinking about branding our product. Now, these are the 4 P's of marketing, the basic 4 P's. Product, what is your price you're going to put on your product? Distribution or placement, and then how you're going to promote your product. Okay. And if you've got a service, which means you don't sell a product, like a bank doesn't actually have a product, there's different P's for the banking industry. They would focus on people, processes, and physical evidence. Physical evidence, which would be staff dress code, for example, your stationery. But the big P that I like the most is partnerships. This is the P that you really can't do without today. You've got to be in bed with great partners who support your business. Okay. Right. Now that you know what the 8 P's of marketing are, which is the most important P for you? Is it product, price, place, promotion, people, processes, physical evidence, or partnerships? Think about that. All right, let's quickly look at your 4 price strategies that you can use. Probably the most common price strategy is what we call price skimming. Price skimming is we start at a high price, we make a good profit margin, and if it doesn't sell, then we drop the price. We start high, we skim the cream off the top. That's why it's called price skimming. The next pricing strategy you can use is called market penetration. It's aggressively low pricing, really hurts the competition, but you might not make good margins. You might not make good profit margins. The third pricing strategy is what the market will accept, the market price. So it will be similar to competitors normally. You know, if you started with price skimming and it didn't sell, it means your price is too high. And if you brought down your price, you'd bring it down to the market price where it starts to sell. Okay. But if you've got a very, very good point of difference, you could then sell your product at a much higher price. If you've got a good point of difference, a good unique selling proposition, you could charge more. Okay, the fourth price strategy is leadership price, where you drop your price for a limited period of time. And this is what we call sales promotion. It's often called a loss leader. You're actually not making good money on it, so you could be losing. However, you're going to get a lot of business quickly. You're going to impress, say, Macro, if you give them your product and they say, look, we'd like to run your product at a very, very, very low price, just for a limited period of time, which is different to aggressive low pricing. This is, you always low price. Price leader or leadership price is drop your price for a limited period of time. So those are your 4 basic pricing strategies. I would suggest you use number 1, skimming, and market price. If it doesn't sell well when you're skimming, you're going to have to drop it towards what we call price parity, because your product parity, if there's no differentiation, you can't charge more than somebody else's nachos. The other thing you've got to know about price is price sensitivity, and we call this price elasticity or price elasticity of demand. That means if your price is elastic, it means a small increase leads to much less sales, and a small decrease leads to much more sales. Let me give you an example. So if you did if you gave a customer a 10% discount, you know, if your markup was say 33%, you would require to sell 66% more to make up for that 10% discount. So by dropping your price by 10% more, you've got to sell 66% more to make up for the loss of profit. Okay. If you did a 50% discount and your markup was 50%, you'd have to sell 3 times more apples. In other words, 150% more sales to make up for your 50% discount if you had a 50% markup, which is a high markup. Okay, so what does the slide tell you? It says, yeah, you can sell a lot more if you drop your price, but you're going to have to sell a lot more because you dropped your price. Okay, and so think twice before dropping prices, because if you do drop your price, say, by 10%, you might have to sell 2/3 more to make up for the margin that you've lost because you took 10% off your 33% markup. This is a very critical slide. This slide is what we call promotion, and the true word for promotion is marketing, is integrated marketing communication. Integrated marketing communication is the word for promotion. So to promote your product, which is one of the big P's of marketing, you could advertise. And typically when you are B2B, you would go below the line. In other words, below the line, you wouldn't go on radio, TV, and print. You'd go below the line. So for example, bring out a catalog for a customer. Okay. B2B marketing, business to business versus business to consumer. A lot of you might be in business. Just pick up the phone, phone your customer. It's a good way to do what we call direct marketing. Just phone them. All right. You need a website. You need to be on YouTube. Beautiful thing. You need to email customers. These are all the things I'm showing you now are B2B versus B2C. B2B, your personal selling is your secret weapon. So if you're selling to another business, go and see them face to face. Pick up the phone, telesales, email them. Very big customers, treat them like a key account. And then, customer service is really, really, really important in B2B as well. Okay, going to a farming exhibition or an agricultural exhibition, training your B2B customers is really, really important. Now, when it comes to B2C, your secret weapon is normally advertising, above the line, radio, TV, print. Okay, so what I want to point out here is B2B marketing is often very, very different to B2C marketing. Everything that I've circled here is B2B marketing, business to business marketing. Two slides left here for you, and it's what we call Adcast. The Adcast model shows you what marketing does and what sales do. And what we're going to do is draw a line in between here, between the green and the blue. Okay. And what does this mean? It means that marketing is the green and blue is what salespeople do. So marketing needs to get your awareness, and we do that through advertising. And then we talk a bit about your benefits of your product, and then customers get interested. And then we talk about more benefits, more benefits. And then they start desiring you, but they won't buy you until a salesman calls on them. So to gain conviction, we've gone from awareness to I prefer you. So I'm just aware of you, but now I actually I prefer your product. And then to go even further from preference to insistence. In other words, I insist on only buying from you. We got to do after sales service. Okay, now the blue part here is what sales does. Okay, face-to-face selling. Let's look at the next slide. Let's just move on and look at the next slide. So we move from awareness, which is what marketing does for us. This is all marketing over here. All right. So advertising and social media and having great references on our websites and case studies and training and sampling. Customers sample your apple or your avocado pear. They desire you, but they're not convinced. We've got to send the sales team in. We've got to have a salesperson. And that when you see somebody face to face, like it could be on the phone, for example, or face to face, we move from I desire you to I'm convinced. Okay, the best place to close a deal would be face to face. We'll talk about that in session 4. But we've got a call for action. We've got to close the deal. Push for action or call for action is closing the deal. And then if you don't give me after sales service, i.e. treat me like a key customer, a key account, which means you fully engage with me in your frequent contact, that service level will make me never look around. So I go from awareness to I prefer you to I insist on only using you. You kind of get it? All right? Fantastic. We go from awareness to insistence. Good. So that's the end of this first session. It's quite a long session. The next session will be session 2 of 4. We'll look at our growth strategies, the Ansoff growth matrix, and what is this thing called positioning in marketing. So I hope you've learned a lot. If I've gone too quickly, don't forget you can always rewind and watch the video again. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next session 2 of 4.